Welcome to REIM, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network with your hostess, Jen Josie. Join like-minded real estate investors and accelerate your business towards greatness. You will hear step-by-step strategies for success, interviews with real estate rock stars, and we will dig deep into past projects where we bear it all, including the good, the bad, and some just plain ugly. So get excited. Here's the bestower of badassery herself, the real Jen Josie. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Jen Josie, creator of REIM, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Whoop, whoop. On today's episode, we have a guest that will be sharing their badassery. But before we begin, here's today's badassery bestowment, my little badass gift to you. Today's topic is the power of curb appeal. Curb appeal is not just a buzzword in real estate, it's a critical factor that can significantly impact the success of your investment. The first impression of a property makes on potential buyers or tenants often begins with its exterior appearance. Here are 6 reasons why curb appeal matters. Number 1, first impressions. A well-maintained and visually appealing exterior creates an instant positive impression. It sets the tone for what potential buyers or renters can expect inside the property. Number 2, increased property value. A property with strong curb appeal is typically valued higher in the market. Investing in landscaping, fresh paint, and clean pathways can yield a higher return on investments when selling or renting. Number 3, faster sales or rentals. Homes or commercial spaces that look inviting from the outside tend to attract more interest. This can result in a quicker sale or rental process, saving you time and potential carrying costs. Number 4, competitive advantage. In a competitive real estate market, a property with exceptional curb appeal can stand out from the rest. This can lead to better offers and more favorable terms. Number 5, emotional connection. People are more likely to develop an emotional connection with a property that looks well-maintained and attractive. This emotional bond can drive them to make quicker decisions. Number 6, neighborhood appeal. Improving the curb appeal of your property can enhance the overall aesthetic of the neighborhood, potentially boosting property values in the area. So in conclusion, never underestimate the importance of curb appeal in your real estate investments. Whether you're flipping houses, renting out apartments, or selling commercial spaces, a visually appealing exterior can make all the difference in attracting potential buyers or tenants and maximizing your investment's potential. Now on to today's episode of the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast. We have with us superstar Franco Perez. Having grown up in a family with an unstable housing situation, Franco is on a mission to create affordable housing in Silicon Valley. He discovered that the Bay Area's mobile home parks offer an abundance of underused land with great growth potential. After years of dedication to his vision, Franco has established a devoted team of like-minded individuals who believe that their positive impact equals success. Inspired to reimagine mobile homes and expand affordable housing opportunities across the Bay Area, Franco's talented team strives to unlock the pathway to home ownership and help families establish financial security where it might otherwise seem impossible. I am thrilled to have him on the show, so welcome, Franco.
Thank you so much.
It is so.
I love the energy.
We had to reschedule this. So I've been keeping an eye on you and everything that you do. And I'm just so impressed with what you are doing, especially in a saturated market like where you are out in California. So tell us a little bit of background on you. You have a lovely story with, you had a tough upbringing, but just what you have done has really been such an inspiration. So tell us a little bit more of your background. You came from the Philippines. I know that much.
Yeah, so I grew up at a young age in the Philippines, went to elementary school there, had immigrant parents move us here to San Jose in the Silicon Valley. Had an unfortunate situation when I was about 17, 18 years old where my parents split up. My dad was a main breadwinner. He left the country, and I had to immediately start working full time, actually 2 jobs, just to help my mom and my single mom and my younger sister just keep up with rent. And I remember that vividly. It was really one of the darkest times of my life. And at the end of every month, not actually making ends meet. I had to borrow money, even from friends, from my boss at the time, just to keep up with the rat race. And I remember thinking, why is life this way? Why is it this difficult? Why is it that the rich get to benefit from all these benefits of home ownership, but being poor or middle class, we don't get these opportunities? How do I ever dream of owning a home when I could barely keep up with rents, right? And long story short, I ended up getting into real estate. I became a real estate agent for a short period of time, did pretty well at that. I then quickly hated being a real estate agent because I found myself.
I don't mean to laugh.
It really wasn't. I didn't. I know most people love it, but for me, I knew it wasn't me. It did well to support the family at the time, and I did everything I could to make commission to benefit the family. But there was a big part that I hated, and it was really that I was helping the richest people and the wealthiest people I could get their third or fourth different property or the most expensive property that we could. And that was our business model. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of real estate agents strive towards. But what I hated was I had to turn away people and tell them that, unfortunately, you don't make enough money. Unfortunately, you don't have enough saved as a down payment. And, when you make more, or if you have more saved, you can come back to me and I can help you later. But I knew that coming straight from experience, I knew that it was very unlikely that they would have any guidance to be able to make more or save more. And I knew the pains that they were going through because I've been there, right? And I wanted to find a way to help people that were in my shoes. And how can we make their life just a little bit easier? Right. And so did a lot of reflection. I left being an agent for a while, looked into government work of affordable housing. I didn't like that either because there's a lot of what we call affordable housing that isn't really helping people.
Nope.
And I accidentally stumbled across mobile homes and what I thought was like bad stigma, trailer trash, criminal place, because that's what I've seen on TV, I was actually far from reality. I saw people in these communities, I saw the quality of these communities, and I saw that families were starting their wealth building journey in these communities, right? And since then, I built a business around helping people get out of the rental rat race into starting their home ownership journey through mobile homes, and then helping them transition from mobile homes into single family home ownership. And then after that, we started a phase where we're replacing a lot of these old single wide mobile homes, 700 square foot. And now we're replacing them, removing that and building brand new, luxurious 2,000 square foot mobile homes that are 3-bedroom, 2-bath with 12-foot high ceilings, quartz countertops, stainless steel appliances, and as modern and contemporary as could be. And then that's what we're doing now today.
Well, luxurious is a very good description because I was looking at, okay, so I am one of those people who have a vision of what a mobile home is supposed to look like. And it did not look anything like what you have on your website and what you are promoting. And they truly are gorgeous. So how are they different from what's in my brain? Like, is it still the same materials? Is it still built somewhere else and brought somewhere? Like, what are you doing to make them look so amazing?
Yeah. Well, the thing is that the truth is most mobile homes were built in the 60s and 70s, and they didn't really have construction standards back then. And actually now I'm a part of like a lot of lobbying that does build the quality standards of how these are built. But what we're doing actually is there's a lot to that question.
It was a loaded question.
The first thing I want to bring up is the way we perceive and associate mobile homes is only through the media. And Hollywood targets mobile home living as this horrible, low thing. And because that's our only association and our only perception of mobile homes, that's what we imagine and that's what we know is true. Whereas, like, I say this a lot, but in apartments, there are apartments where you don't want your kids going around and it's unsafe and bad quality, but there's also luxury style apartments, right? Mm-hmm. Now, there's that whole spectrum when it comes to mobile home parks and mobile homes as well. There are bad parks and trailer park looking homes, but there's a full spectrum of average mobile home parks and beautiful resort-like communities. These are with tennis courts, with dog parks, with swimming pools and saunas, right? And they shouldn't all be written off as this low trailer park like thing, and they should be seen as a variety of quality in that same asset class, right? Absolutely. That's one big thing. And then and the other is the opportunity of what you can do with your home in these communities too. So we're building, we've realized that a lot of these mobile homes are in these high density areas. We're not just in the Bay anymore. We're in other metro areas, but they have similar problems. And now that they are in high density areas of where people need homes, these old homes that were built didn't really maximize the lot that it's on, right? And we can effectively more than double the square footage while raising the value of their asset. And in the end result, creating more affordable housing for everyone to be able to access if they needed to purchase something later down the line, right?
And I got to add to that, I am from Florida. I currently live in Raleigh, North Carolina, but I'm from Florida, and there are some fancy mobile home parks in Florida, and I actually really enjoyed all the little plastic pink flamingos they had around. I just thought it was really super cute. And but they were fun places to party, I'll tell you that. So some great people there. As an investor, though, wearing my investor hat, I have always been told that a mobile home is a depreciating asset. So fix that in my brain, or is it truly, or what do you do about that? Because just as investors listening to the show, I have always been told, buy the park and then rent do the lot rents, et cetera, and then have people own the homes, which I love that. And that ties into getting them towards that home ownership and the financial stability. So I do love that aspect of it. But tell me about the actual mobile homes. Are they still considered depreciating? What do you do to enhance the value of them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this all kind of ties to the market that it's in. And yes, there's this myth that mobile homes are like cars. They depreciate after every year and that sort of thing, right? But every market has its own different dynamic. There are markets where homes aren't raising a value, and then there's markets where homes are drastically raising value, right? So it really kind of ties into the market demand and the density of population in those areas, right? My advice would be different if it was in the middle of nowhere in Nebraska versus if you're in California, right? So we know, like, a lot of these high density areas like Atlanta, Austin, Raleigh, and then all the major California cities, it is high density. And just in the last 2 years alone, the home values have median home value is over 10% is of appreciation, right? And the third year before that, it was actually at a faster rate as well. So that's a home being an old unit itself, not doing any remodel and just grasping appreciation, right? Okay. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the housing problem in these dense areas, right? So in San Jose, for example, these numbers are going to be quite higher than most of the country, but I want you to understand the ratios are kind of similar in many metro markets. So renting a 2-bedroom apartment in San Jose could be about $3,400 a month to rent out. Buying a single family home in this area, median average home is about $1.5 million, right?
Right.
And does somebody in that rental rat race ever dream of one day purchasing a single family home? Let's say 10% down is about $150K. A mortgage could be, and a monthly payment with taxes could be about $8,000. That's really hard to grasp a reality for many middle income earners, right? And a lot of the benefits of home ownership are the appreciation, the tax benefits, the leveraging a loan to build up their net worth, and the financial security element of it as well. Now, what's beautiful about mobile homes, it is like a hybrid model of, like you said, you do rent the land itself, but you do own the asset that's above it, right? So in our area, an average mobile home could be about $350,000. 10% of that would be about $35,000. And the space rent here is about $1,000. Their mortgage is about $2,800, right? So their total, it makes it a lot easier to be an entry-level purchaser with $35K, and their monthly mortgage is about $3,800 a month, which is just a bit more than what they're paying consistently for rent, but they get the upside benefits of home ownership, the tax benefits, the appreciation upside. They leverage a loan to build their net worth and basically starting their financial freedom journey. It's bettering their cash flow. And this is an asset that they can 3 years or 5 years down the line sell to be able to get themselves into real estate later down the line, right?
I love how you said it that way, because it really truly is, stepping stones and building up. And this is a great way for people to start. And especially with a house that looks, with these quartz countertops and like you were saying, so those fancy ones are about $350, or those are going to be more?
Those are typically the newer ones. It's going to depend on where in the market. Mm-hmm. They could be as high as like $450, but okay. These numbers are very high in our area. But like if we're doing the same thing in Austin, median single family home could be $500,000. Rents could be about, renting a home could be about $1,800, but a mobile home itself could be about $190.
Exactly.
Right. And that could be their medians in that area. But the key, like you said, is the stepping stones. And yes, we do build very, very high end mobile homes as well. But if that's not in their financial profile to be able to afford, we don't always have to do all the major upgrades, but we still build a very quality home. Right.
I mean, they are really gorgeous. What is your website so people can check them out? I mean, let's just give a shout out right now. Where can they go to look at how gorgeous these houses are? I'm telling you.
Yeah, I know we're on a podcast, so if you want to see these visually, our link is www.franco.tv. It has all of our links of like our 3D tours, our YouTube channel, or you can just Google Franco Mobile Homes. You should be able to find it that way. But I urge you to really see these visually. On our YouTube channel, we show how they're built in these factories, we do community tours. We also do storytelling of like a teacher that was renting and was about to have to move out of the area. Now all teachers are kind of moving out, and how this mobile home has allowed for her to be able to continue teaching in a very important area. And I think, our team does a really good job of like really showcasing the beauty of it, not just physically, but for society as well. And being able to create these success stories for these families is so important to us.
Well, as a former school teacher of 16 years, I appreciate you saying that because those are my people. And I know how expensive housing can be when you are a single teacher. I'm married, happily married, and a real estate investor now, but I do remember those days and it was tough getting started. So I love that you brought that up. Can we jump a little quick, just for a minute, into the politics of this? Because I saw you do a video and you were on the lawn in Washington, D.C. What lawn? What is it called?
It's called the National Mall. It's my
Mall.
first as well. I didn't know exactly what it was, but it's right on the Capitol State Building.
I'm like, the lawn, where Forrest Gump ran. Anyway, so you had some there, on display, etc. But the whole political side of mobile homes. So this is my question I'm building up to. I live in Wake County, North Carolina, and they will not allow any more mobile home parks here. They have just put a stop to it. So it's more in the tertiary markets around our area. So politically, do you see people trying to get away from mobile home? I mean, and then you think about Florida. I was just talking about that, and hurricanes, they flatten them out quickly. So do you see anything about people doing less allowance for mobile homes in their states?
It's always been a very, very unknown space, and it's a very misunderstood space too.
Agreed.
So there's a few answers to that. One is, that's why I'm very, as much as I hate politics, I'm very passionate about this. So that's why
I hate politics too. I'm sorry to keep laughing.
But I do understand the importance of having support in the government as well, because guess what? Even being a mobile home guy in our area, even real estate agents don't understand what mobile homes are. They also don't get it. And imagine politicians, mayors, the senators, all of this, they also have these same associations that these are where criminals are come from, or this is a bad place. There's this whole not in my backyard movement, right? And they want to close the parks. And that sort of thing. So it's very important that I go out and kind of try to talk to these senators and that we really showcase the beauty of what these are. And that's what a big group of us pulled together, put a home right on that National Mall for all of these politicians to really see the level of quality of how these are built. The fiber cement exteriors, the finishes, that sort of thing, so that people can really understand what a mobile home can look like, right? And that is something that's very important. And then when you're asking about the future, I'm actually very optimistic, because we're seeing a lot of, only until recently are we seeing parks actually opening. They're starting new communities in many of these markets because we need more affordable housing. It's so, so important. That, and also it's great for I could talk about how it's good for the environment, it's good for the economy and creating jobs. And it's also great for the social ability of creating financial opportunities as well. And so that's what we help talk to senators and that sort of thing about. But regardless of what we think, there's so many problems around housing that we really don't understand how bad it is. And I don't know why it isn't as urgent as it's not as urgent on the media as we see, but construction has been a big problem. The cost of creating homes is getting more expensive. The cost of material is more expensive. Not only that, but most of our skilled labor that are building these homes are 45 years old and older, and we don't have enough young people that want to become a construction worker. And if we don't change and fix the way things are right now, we're going to have a much bigger problem than it already is right now. And I say this analogy because I think it'll help bring context, but cars were only really originally built for the rich and wealthy. And it was only until they started building these on an assembly line in a process like fashion in a factory that we were able to make it accessible for everybody to afford. And that's exactly what we're doing today with mobile homes. These are quality built homes that are built in an assembly line using less material, building of higher quality, and with the requirement of less labor and that sort of thing. And in the end product is a much more affordable quality home that's accessible to be able to keep the cost of living much lower than what you would if we do it the old-fashioned way, which has been how it's been over 100 years, which is transporting materials to a site, transporting the labor to a site, worrying about if the weather's going to be good that day, and so many uncertainties. And we've always done it that way. And it's interesting how everything we do, building this laptop, building a phone, everything's now built in a factory in a much better system, but housing has not been better.
So well said. I love the analogy of the car, and it's just mass production, and it's the assembly line, and you can do the same thing with houses, and they're beautiful homes. And I keep saying that because it's mind blowing to me that these are made, off-site and then just brought over there, and they truly are amazing. I want to talk a little bit about logistics though, because you're my head was about to fall off because I kept nodding at everything you were saying. And when you are building a home, like I thought my head was going to fall off. When you're building a home, the cost of things, shipping them to the site, doing all that, having the people hired to do that. And yes, oh my gosh, if there's any parents out there that have, 16, 17-year-olds, tell them to become plumbers, please, because plumbers have been like the most expensive trade for us lately, and it's so hard to find them. I'm just throwing that out there. That's totally off topic. Anyway, again, with my nodding of my head. But tell me, is it cheaper to build in a factory? I'm calling it a factory. And then having it transported in one piece, two pieces or three pieces sometimes, then actually building on site. So tell us cost-wise, how different is it?
Yeah. So keep in mind that these homes are being built 20 to 100 different times the same, with the same engineering. It's really built at scale, which means we can buy product at wholesale, whether it's 100 homes worth of window. We have much better negotiating power, whether it's buying lumber from the right entity and that sort of thing. And the answer is yes, just like you experience with plumbing and that sort of thing. It's tough to find a plumber. It's really tough to find an electrician. But when we have a really good quality electrician that's consistently building and being able to work on multiple different homes in one warehouse, in one facility, you then have better quality, not just economies of scale for the material, but economies of scale for the skilled labor as well, right? But it's really an optimization of everything. And not only that, I want to vent too about the waste. On a typical 1,500 square foot job site, you typically have 3 big dumpsters that are required that they always throw out. With a 1,500 square foot mobile or manufactured home, you actually have less than a half a dumpster of waste, because all the material that you have, the lumber that we cut, guess what? The materials that you're not using, you can store it in that warehouse, use it for the next job where you need that extra piece. And there's so much room for process improvement in these factories that yes, the savings does make sense, right? And having the labor, having the material all in one place is definitely keeps that cost low. And now the labor that we would normally need in San Jose, we only need it to put it together and do the finishing touches, right? And all of the heavy duty, 85% of the home is built in these factories, and they can continue to work that successfully.
I love that. I didn't even think about buying, mass quantities of windows and countertops and doing all that and just having them stored there. I love that. And then you're saving, with the waste on the backside of it too. So thank you for explaining that. I'm sure you have piqued the interest of many of these listeners, and they are now chomping at the bit to get into mobile homes. So can you tell us how you maybe bought your first mobile home, renovated your first, like how did it start with mobile homes for you? What was your first project?
Yeah. So, I mean, it really started, we did kind of start with like a brokerage style model where we were helping people buy and sell. And then it got into more of a development model, right? So we help families that currently live in an old mobile home. They can't yet afford a single family home, but they have a value in that specific lot itself. So Mary and John own this single family home. They have kids growing. They need extra bedrooms. They can't live in this old one, but they need more space. So, hey, John and Mary, you own this old style small home that might be worth $100,000 right now. But if you spend with us about $250,000 to replace your old one with a new one, your new effective value is about 400,000, which makes a ton of sense for you to do this and have a win-win scenario. You're upping the equity, you're making more on your net worth than you are spending. And it's pretty much like what big developers do at a much smaller scale, but just more frequently with different clientele, right? So that's really kind of how it first started. And that's how we do what we do. If someone were to try to, I think it might be pretty difficult, but
if there's a listener out there saying, I really want to get into mobile homes. I love this. I love helping my community provide affordable housing. How do I get started? What advice would you give to someone listening who has no experience in mobile homes?
We really put everything as much as we can out on our YouTube channel, right? I think first is really understand the scope of the market in your area and understand, what are the value points? What's the density? What are these mobile homes worth? What are the relative rents in my area and compared to available homes in our area, right? The first is really getting the awareness of it, because me living in San Jose for a long time, I didn't even know there was a single mobile home park. But the truth is, if you actually take some time to research, you'll find they're hidden everywhere, because we don't have an excuse to go to them unless we know someone that lives there, right? So that would really be the first step, is understanding how they work and where you're at.
Would you recommend them buying a mobile home, renovating a mobile home? Would you recommend them looking into buying parks, is what I was kind of putting a focus on for a little while there? What would be, or it really doesn't matter, just get involved somehow?
Yeah, so there's no universal answer. Everyone's priorities and everyone's goals are different, right? So for us, yes, if you're an entry level person that's never owned anything, I do recommend buying a mobile home and starting bettering your cash flow of that. But if your goal is like investment, we have a lot of entities that are buying parks, and we help consulting with beautifying these parks and that sort of thing as well, right? On the investment standpoint, it makes more sense on the park ownerships and co-ops and that sort of stuff. And like I said, like it's becoming a more and more popular thing, because we have a lot of these new economy markets that don't have enough housing. I was just talking about a Tesla opening a factory east of Reno where there's no housing. They just built this huge gigafactory, but they don't have a place for workers. And they're realizing that we had this conversation that their fastest route of building housing is going to be through mobile homes. So they're we're helping consult to open a park in that market, and that's going to be the fastest way to pump out a ton of homes at a fast rate, right? But yeah, I think it's just first understanding what they are. I think for a lot of people, they still think it's trailer trash and that they're bad assets.
Well, from just our short conversation together with you and I together, I don't think of them as that. I think of them as opportunity. And not only for me, but for the people living in them, because I know where I live, we have that missing middle. We have a huge issue with affordable housing. And I love this idea. And I feel like if people own it, there's going to be more pride in it. And that's simply going to be the stepping stones to even more future, bigger, better homeownership, etc. So Franco, I am truly grateful for you for what you do in this industry. And, real estate investors, we get a bad reputation at times, and you are truly out there just making such a difference, and you're so inspirational. And I just thank you for all that you do with this specific industry.
Oh, thanks. And that means a lot. And I know there's people out there too that are doing real estate investing. And I want to say that sometimes we shouldn't always chase those dollars and cents or making X amount, but how can we build something that will actually make a difference for people? And I think especially with younger generations, that's important to them. And hopefully that inspires people to do that as well.
I agree. You are fantastic. I have been so excited for this interview. Well, the second part of the podcast, I get to know you a little bit better, and I use the acronym BADASS, and the first letter is B for book. So what is a book that's made a huge difference in your life?
Man, I've had several different books I needed to read at different phases of my life.
Are you a book reader? Do you like to read?
I didn't initially, but I think when I had to be resourceful and I never went through college or anything, but I had to learn everything myself through books or YouTube or podcasts or shows, whether it's finance or that sort of thing. But I think one of my biggest favorites is the Simon Sinek book, Start With Why. And it kind of defines a lot about my life too. It's like, hey, I am really driven by the why and that sort of thing. And our team is very driven by the purpose and the impact in the why as well. And when we understand the why, we then understand what we're trying to accomplish, and we can really create an impact. But there's many other roles out there that they don't feel that why, they don't feel that purpose, and they get burnt out and that sort of thing.
Right. Excellent. Thank you for sharing that. The first A in BADASS is for advice. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
I'd say the best piece of advice is to be resourceful. Kind of like I mentioned before, is all our information and stuff is out there, but it's interesting that, it's the people that are resourceful that are being able to excel and use that information, take it into action, and then be able to create something from it. And if we're not resourceful, all the learning is pointless. But I think that's something that should be understood as well.
Absolutely. Resourceful and taking action. Definitely. So that kind of goes along with each other. All right. The D in BADASS is drive. What drives Franco to be successful?
I think what drives me is knowing that I can help somebody that were in my shoes, in my family's shoes. I think experiencing that pain of insecurity and not knowing if we're going to be able to make it this next month. And I want to, for me at that time, even if I just helped one family alleviate that pain, that meant so much to me. And then after seeing that, I still tear up from joy when I see a family so happy because they've been able to afford purchasing something that when they never thought it was possible. And when you see that, you just want to do it again. And it's addicting. It's like, how can we do this so that we can do this hundreds of times and help multiple different families? And that's my drive, is helping create these success stories and opportunities for families.
You are amazing. I just adore you. I love your history with your mom and your sister and where you came from. And, you nailed it when you said it's not after chasing the dollar. It is truly about making a difference. So well said. All right. I digress. The second A in BADASS is for aspiration. I'm a big goal setter. So what is a goal you are currently working on?
We've only recently been doing the government stuff where it's like really protecting mobile home parks, what they, what their purpose are, and also the development of creating new parks. I think with us, it's more about building the awareness. And my goal and aspiration is to help society understand that mobile homes are actually a beautiful thing. And that's where our YouTube channel comes in. And that's where working with governments come in. And they're given a bad rep where they don't deserve to be a bad rep. And then also people that live in mobile homes are sometimes often ashamed to say that they live in a mobile home when they shouldn't be. And my real aspiration is to help beautify that, and so that people feel comfortable doing that and can get financially free. And whether it's through us or anyone else in other markets, that's really our overall goal. Well,
if you haven't, make sure you go to his YouTube channel, because the whole presentation about you in Washington, D.C. was amazing. So very, very inspirational. All right. The first S in badass is for systems. What systems do you have in place to help you achieve success?
I mean, we have systems around everything, but we also are always consistently creating new systems. And it's so important.
You have a really good team. How did you get your team together?
Well, it's interesting because we didn't have much money. Our team is really consistent, because started with just a lot of high school, or like this is their first job, and we all kind of learned together.
Nice.
Right? And we kind of teach each other. And then it was only until we started making decent amount that we were able to hire on, experienced talent and that sort of thing. But I think our systems and checklists are really around like like our process of how we do the construction. I'm not a big person that loves structure, but I do understand that it's so important. I'm saying a lot of my hates, but but I'd say that systems, the calendar is something to be said. Yeah, I think the calendar is so important, and when that's managed, you can accomplish anything. There's so many times that we feel like there's like, man, I never got time to getting to that. But if you can run your calendar system right, it'll help excel you so much.
I would lose my mind if I lost my calendar. I can't function without it. So I'm glad you brought that one up. All right. To wrap this up, the final S in badass is success. What does success mean to you?
I think it's just that I mentioned, is that people see mobile homes for what it really is, and the true colors that it is of a great way of living, and the sense of community, and having allowing for this to work in many metro areas, and seeing families be able to thrive from that. That to me would be my definition of a success.
Well, I am so grateful to have met you. You are fantastic. You are super fun to look at. I mean, I was talking about your fun blonde hair before. And yes, so thank you for all that you do. And if people want to reach out to you and find out more, what's the best way for them to find you?
It's that link. It's www.franco.tv. And yeah, check out our YouTube channel. We really try to put a lot of educational stuff that I wish I knew when I was broke, of the importance of renting and owning and what's the difference is, and a lot of this stuff I wish I knew before, but that's probably the best place to find us.
And your videographer, by the way, is amazing. Whoever does all the editing of your videos, you got to give them a shout out. They are fantastic. So Franco,
I love it.
So great to meet you. Thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. It was really an honor, and I had a blast.
Absolutely. And that is all. Thank you for listening. And we will catch you on the next episode. Now go out there and share your badassery. And don't forget, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you for listening to REIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. If you need more badassery, you can follow Jen Josie by visiting therealjenjosie.com or become a member of REIN by registering on REINmastermind.com.